Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
Okay, hope everybody's gearing up here. Another week for those of you celebrating Christmas. Some of you are celebrating Christmas because you're selling so much stuff. We go Will Cain, time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Okay, so here's the deal. We've got Ryan Clark this hour. He's going to join us 1:30 Eastern. We'll get to this Jerry Richardson story, but I don't want to lead there. I wouldn't lead there probably, even though I don't know what's going on. He's selling the Panthers. A story came out. He seems a tad sketchy, but we'll leave it at that for right now. We're going to do that a little bit later because Clark has intimate stuff where he's been involved. Jeff Saturday negotiated against some CBAs. I just don't want to start there, Will. That makes sense, right?
Right?
I think the right move in producing a show today, we could do a little bit on the Seahawks. Cerruti has the best NFL question he's put into the show, producing-wise, the entire football season. It's a great question. We'll do that at the top of the next hour. We have some internal stuff that I definitely want to hit on later this hour, but we've got to start with Pat Steelers. It was supposed to be the game. I thought the slate was really good this weekend. And in that game, the Pats pull it out, and I think we're left to kind of go in a bunch of different directions. We could go with, what the hell's a catch? Year 3, 5, whatever. Are the Pats real? Are the Steelers done? Is it another bad matchup? But I think the best thing to start with is really, who is Ben Roethlisberger? Before we get into the play that leads to the game-winning interception by the Pats, where are you on Ben Roethlisberger through his career? And then kind of we'll, revisit that today and hear from him.
Well, first of all, I want to say I think you're starting in the right place. Your producing is just impeccable. It's on point.
Thank you.
As one would expect it to be, because I want to give you this note right here via CBS. Pat Steelers' highest-rated game of the NFL season, a 17 rating. That's up 8% from Week 15 last year. Everybody was watching that game. Who is Ben Roethlisberger? Where am I on Ben Roethlisberger? Man, I wish I had like a short, pithy, quick answer for you on Ben Roethlisberger is X.
All right, I'll go first.
Oh, you have that?
I don't like him.
Okay. Well,
I think he's really good, but I've just never been a huge Ben Roethlisberger guy. And he blocked me on Twitter.
He blocked you on Twitter?
Well, that's an old joke. He's blocked like 2,000 media members on Twitter.
Am I blocked? I wonder.
Better be.
I should go check it out. It's like Scaramucci. I didn't know he followed me till you told me.
Yeah, right. It's exactly the same thing. We could get into the off the field thing, but if I'm going to be fair, the league moved on from it. I think he's a drama queen in the sense that he's just everything. I'm always this her, I'm this her, all these different things. But, and I try to do this a lot, there are guys that I may not necessarily like, but I think they're awesome. And I think he's awesome. And I think he's been playing great. And I thought, look, he was this close to giving his team a huge win, especially when you consider AFC home field. So
he played great yesterday.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He is you know what? He is underrated. His historical context is underrated. Putting him, he's not in the Brady Rodgers class, but he's not very far behind that. He's got the career accomplishments to back it up. Where am I on him? Sometimes I'm like, well, you know what Ben Roethlisberger doesn't do? He doesn't do the, hey, this is from the top. We got this from the fourth floor PR. This is how we'd like you to spin the game today. This is what we'd like you to say. And he doesn't do that. And whether or not it's Antonio Brown or Mike Tomlin, or in this case, Todd Haley, you seem like you're just getting it straight, unfiltered. Man, this is kind of how I saw it.
Kind of what we want, right? We asked for a lot.
We asked for.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, I listened to that whole explanation this week about did Todd Haley tell him to clock it? Did he overrule him? Who did it? And I'm like, is he telling the truth?
All right, well, let's hear from Roethlisberger. Because remember, Steelers coming down. They've just given up the lead 27-24. They hit Schuster for a 69-yard play. And it looked at one point, it was just a man in a pro football game standing on the field with no one ready to tackle him. And you go, are they going to win this game right now? So he gets tackled. They have another play where the player's tackled in bounds. He throws it to Jesse James, so we'll do the whole catch thing later. But then when the James thing is overturned, you're sitting there going, okay, the James thing was overturned. Then they throw it. They keep the guy in bounds. They run up. It's third down. They can clock it right there. Fourth down, kick the game-tying field goal. I like that Roethlisberger and those guys are going for it. Then it's a matter of who really knew what the play was. And then afterwards, you're going to Roethlisberger do that on his own. He says absolutely not. Here's his explanation and the thing everyone's debating today.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd. Now, once again, that's coming from the head guy. Someone's telling them, but they, maybe they wanted the field goal. Maybe they wanted to tie it. I don't know, and so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just clocked it, whatever it is. I don't know. So we're not going to look back and second guess anything or anybody. We lost a game, and I threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game to lose it.
If it's true, that's great. He gave us what we wanted there, but then no one seemed to like that. And I'll admit, because I don't like him in a weird, and I'm doing the total transparency thing here, because I don't like him, I kind of want it to not be true, and that's totally unfair. And then when I watched the NBC broadcast last night of your Cowboys against the Raiders, Rodney Harrison torched him. Yeah. Rodney Harrison said flat out, that's not true. You need to own it. Rodney Harrison was accusing Roethlisberger of wanting to not clock it on his own and try to throw it into the end zone for the winning play, which, again, I don't have a problem with that strategy. And then I'm going, wait a minute, could that be possible? Could Roethlisberger have made this? Like, even if I don't love Roethlisberger, like, come on. He's just making this whole thing up to blame somebody else for the interception. That seems kind of crazy.
Well, wait. So I heard the same thing, right? I heard Rodney Harrison last night essentially call Roethlisberger a liar.
Yeah.
But now as you just played that sound again, I don't think that's what he's doing. I don't think he's laying blame on Todd Haley. I think what he's saying is, Haley got in my ear, said clock it, right? And many of us watching, you and I don't have a problem with Roethlisberger overruling that call and throwing it in the end zone. We don't have a problem with him fake clocking it and going for it.
Because imagine if it worked.
Imagine if it worked.
Everybody would have been going. Like, I do the stupid thing at home in those moments, Will, fourth down, goal line, whatever. I go, okay, say exactly what you think is the right call now.
Right. Well, I think some are going, you should have clocked it. You should have taken the field goal. You shouldn't have taken the one outcome that can produce a loss for you, a loss in the moment. As you play that sound, man, I sort of feel like that's Roethlisberger putting the blame on himself, not on Haley.
You want to hear it again? I feel like you want to hear it again.
He says,
yeah.
Haley told me to clock it. I didn't do it. Maybe Haley wanted to play for the field goal. I did this. So essentially, he's taking the outcome on his shoulders.
Did you see his face? Have you seen the video of this?
No, just heard it.
Because I saw that when I was watching all the recap stuff.
You see the lie on his face?
It felt, and I watched it again last night. Like, I watched it last night, I caught it today, and I go, all right, what's the real issue here? I don't have an issue. They threw a pick. It's a mistake. Every dude, there's so many dudes would be going if they threw a touchdown. Like, championship football, number 1 seed on the line. Don't have to go to Foxborough. Love it. Tomlin, he likes EPMD. This guy's awesome. He's
always
aggressive.
Goes for 2.
Yeah. When it was picked and it went right to Tomlin to runny nose, bleep, you're like, now you don't look like a smart coach. If it was a completion, you're going, that guy, just look at steely-eyed deal. So you want to hear it one more time. You think Roethlisberger actually isn't blaming someone else.
But taking the blame himself. Listen.
But see, this is the thing, is in the rules of this thing we're doing here, Will, you're not supposed to mention anyone. You're supposed to say, it was my decision, mine alone.
That's true, but we just said he doesn't get releases from the 4th floor PR department.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd. Now, once again, that's coming from the head guy. Someone's telling them, but they, maybe they wanted the field goal. Maybe they wanted to tie it. I don't know, and so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just clocked it, whatever it is. I don't know. So we're not going to look back and second guess anything or anybody. We lost a game, and I threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game to lose it.
What do you think? You hear it my way?
I know how you're getting there. And what I'm doing, like, I'm openly admitting on the air, because I haven't liked Roethlisberger all that much. Like, part of me was rooting for someone in the Steelers staff. Like, I'd love to get a text from somebody later in the week and be like, oh, the staff is
Could you hear him debating with himself when he said, when the question is, which one? And he goes, Todd. You could literally hear the devil on the one shoulder and the angel on the other going, should I not?
Quarterbacking 101, though. Like Russell Wilson, imagine if Russell would have given us the...
Well, Russell works on the 4th floor.
Yeah.
He's in the PR department. He doesn't have to get the releases because he helps craft them.
This is me being, I'll admit, inconsistent. You go, maybe he gave us the perfect explanation, told us the truth, and then we got exactly what we want, so I should embrace that. But the rules of this here thing is that he's supposed to go...
Yeah, you hate Russell for being so politically correct.
Yeah, I'm being...
Yeah.
I don't think it's... Some guys will try to hit me with the total black and white and be like, every time someone tells me the truth, I have to love every moment of it. And you go, well, those aren't the rules.
Well, the question is he telling the truth? That's it.
I have a hard time, even if I don't like Roethlisberger, I have a hard time believing that he created this thing and then he went for it on third down all on his own and is blaming a coach this whole thing. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So I would disagree with Rodney Harrison in his rant at halftime of last night's game.
There we go. Came
all
around.
Right. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. I once said, I think years ago, maybe 5 years ago, back with Van Pelt, I said, if you put a gun to my head and said, tell me what a catch is in the NFL in one sentence, I'd say, just pull the trigger.
It's not funny that I don't know why I laugh.
I got no shot. And it feels like that's where everybody's at now. So what do you make of that? There was a deal. Bill Barnwell, I'm going to give him some credit. He proposed 3 solutions to try to figure out what a catch is now. We'll do that next with Will Cain, the Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is good Twitter feedback. This is feedback about you in show that is maybe going to help us be better today.
I need to issue a correction. So people are saying I'm not listening to that Roethlisberger clip right. That what's happening there is they're saying Haley said go for it, not clock it. So here it is again.
Okay. Because there's a question being asked, and if you don't catch Roethlisberger's initial answer, he's saying no. Someone else told me not to clock it. And he's putting it on Todd Haley, which is kind of a no-no in the locker room after the fact, even if I'm supposed to love the fact that he's telling us the
Let's
truth.
do this again.
Okay, here we go. We're going to try this the third time.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd.
Yes, he is laying the blame on Todd Haley. Yes, he is.
So I can understand how guys would
Correction issued.
So now you understand my point more?
Yeah, so, okay, now the question is lie or not. Yes, he's definitely
because I didn't
blame.
like the guy, I was rooting for it to be a lie. But I can't even get there. I try to be fair about dudes I like and don't like. And even if I don't love Roethlisberger with the 140-degree temperature and I'm almost died this time in the walking boot after every single game and him telling the sideline reporter for years how banged up he was and then he always plays and then I may retire the last 2 years, I can't get there. You know how bad of a dude you would have to be to go, okay, I did this all on my own. I threw the interception. I'll just say that Todd Haley said I'll say I wanted to clock it, and then I'll say Todd Haley said no, and then it's his fault. Yep.
And he has to do that pretty quickly, by the way.
No way.
Okay, so that's option one.
If Roethlisberger
it's option
did that,
one, he lied. Okay, you just laid it out.
Yeah,
option two is
I can't get there.
Option 2 is he is the dude we just talked about earlier. Still, the guy getting no press releases from the department, who still says whatever on his mind. So option 2 is it's true. Haley did say go for it. And Roethlisberger probably should have been like Russell Wilson and not said that part. He shouldn't have just aired it all out, right?
Yeah, he could have just said, I mean, he would have just done the thing where you go, but then some dudes, when they're taking blame, when it's not all on them, take this pride in the way they're like,
yes,
hey, I'm a real stand-up guy, so I'm going to tell you that this is my fault. And we all know that it definitely isn't. So I don't have a problem with the play. I just don't. I don't. Do you have a problem with the catch? Because now we're talking the Jesse James play.
Yeah, I do, man. Listen, you would think that going to law school and being a lawyer would make me one who appreciates like the letter of the law. Did you cross the T's? Did you dot the I's? Because this is where we catch a man, and that's why this entire industry of briefcased suited men work. But the truth of the matter is you lose reality at some point. And when your rule book looks like the federal tax code and nobody can understand it, I'm not real interested in the analysis today, Ryan, of somebody going, well, clearly the rules say if he bobbles it, it's not a catch. Yeah, okay, great. That means you know how to read. But you know what you've lost in your process of knowing how to read? Seeing reality. That's a catch, man, and that's a touchdown. That's what that is. The only world where that's not a catch is in the NFL rulebook that we have now decided is reality. The NFL rulebook is not reality. It is, we have reality and then this other world.
This feels like a Des Bryant rant against the Packers from a couple years ago.
I'm just well versed in it, man. I've done it before.
Here's Mike Tomlin on the overturned play that would have meant a win for the Steelers.
I don't have HD and all of that stuff, so it's really irrelevant how I feel about it, to be honest with you. It's not going to change the outcome of the game. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk and all of that crap and talk about replay. I ain't doing it.
Can you imagine being a Steelers fan and then having to hear Belichick's response on this play?
Were you surprised they overturned it?
It looked like the ball moved. I don't know. That's, should talk to the crew about that.
I thought it was going to get overturned. I couldn't believe Nance was saying that's going to hold up, because I can agree with you that we've lost sight of what this whole catch thing is supposed to be, but the way this is called, I go, he didn't have control. He didn't have control. I don't understand why people have such a hard time understanding the difference between a running back who's handed the football and has possession diving for the plane versus somebody who's trying to complete a catch.
Because we all know what a football move looks like. And you're
saying...
Do
we? I don't. I think
man,
I do.
Well, we don't by the letter of the law,
we
clearly.
Don't. I mean, sometimes it's a catch and you go, okay, well, that's a catch. Like, that's clearly a catch.
There was a play yesterday. I can't remember what game it was, but it was literally identical to that Des Bryant play from 2014, where the guy made the catch, made what everyone determined was a football move, and then they ruled it a fumble, okay? They don't enforce this consistently. They can try to button down these rules and these laws as much as possible. They cannot do it consistently. And what's happened is our eyes know, I think we do know what a football move is. Are you telling me, like, if you put 10 dudes in a room, or 10 guys watching those games yesterday, they don't look at that and go, by anyone's definition, that's a catch, a football move, and a reach?
Barnwell suggests three things. Will Cain, The Russillo Show, it's ESPN Radio. You can check it out on ESPN.com, where the first one's basically like, let's stop making all of these extra things have to happen to complete the catch. And on specific end zone plays, you catch it and you're down, and then you get hit, like it's still a touchdown, okay? So it's like you're making it less problematic. You're having to define less things after the fact, okay? There's the other one, which I think is about safety, and that is if you ever watch any of the old NFL film stuff, and you'll see a guy in the 70s, maybe even early 80s, where it's somebody in the flat, he makes a catch, and he will have not even taken a step, and he'll turn, and somebody knocks the ball out. It's always a fumble. I think for safety reasons, the NFL said, we would like you to make the catch in a move or two, and then we'll be good to go. But for safety reasons, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. And the third option that Barnwell suggested was to have 60 seconds for 25 former receivers and 25 former defensive backs, where they have 60 seconds to watch a review, and then you vote, and we see a bunch of light panels light up. And then if it's...
Can I have 25 fans in too? Because the truth of the matter is, I think fans retain some...
The Pats would have gone 0 for 25 on those votes yesterday, because no fan would have voted for...
Can I just say something? There is a level of expertise where you become irrational. You have lost perspective at some level of expertise. You've lost common sense. I don't want to know all the intricacies. I know what a catch looks like. It's like the Supreme Court back in the day with pornography. I can't define it.
I'd be fine.
But I know it when I see it.
Not with porn, but I'd be fine with that just being it. You go, it's up to the official's discretion. Forget the whole completion of the football move and all these different things. Do you think he had the catch? So here's the thing. I can have a problem with what the rule is, with the James play specifically, Will, but I wasn't surprised that they overturned that thing at all.
Okay. Well, that's because I know what you're doing. You're like a sports lawyer.
Were you surprised they overturned it?
It looked like the ball moved. I don't know. That's, should talk to the crew about that.
Talk to the crew about that.
What are we going to do when he's at Navy coaching? You know?
At Navy?
Yeah, that's my theory. That's my Belichick endgame theory.
Navy?
Yeah, head coach of Navy.
Just because he's just a football guy.
Loves the midshipman.
Doesn't need all this glory.
No, he doesn't need it. 5 rings, bro. 7 if you count. Well, yeah, as an assistant. Okay, the
Russillo
Show.
Could he bring Navy back? Could he get Navy in the playoffs?
Folks! I wouldn't rule it out. Russillo Show, reminding you can listen to all 3 hours of the show on your phone on your ESPN app. Ryan Clark on everything from the weekend, but also on the Jerry Richardson story out of the Carolina Panthers. That's next. The Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. Ryan Clark is hanging out on a Monday. We're going to have Jeff Saturday, Tim Hasselbeck, so loaded. All NFL all day today. The Russillo Show with Will Cain on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We've spent the first 2 segments on Steelers Pats. I'd still like to do more on it because, unfortunately we're doing rules, we're doing the catch, we're doing Roethlisberger's deal there. Did you catch Rodney Harrison or hear about what he had said at the halftime of the Sunday night game about Ben? He accused Ben of lying and not owning the fact that he just made a mistake. That essentially when Ben was saying Todd Haley said, don't clock it, throw it, that Rodney Harrison was basically saying Roethlisberger just made that up and wasn't taking ownership.
No, I actually heard that. It was after the game. He said it, and I mean that's Rodney's opinion. I guess I can't really. Shoot, I wasn't in the headset. I don't know what happened. All I know is what the play was. He didn't spike it. Eli Rogers runs the slant. Looks like Eli knew he was supposed to run a slant.
Eli clearly knows something's going on.
Right, exactly.
A lot of other dudes
like,
don't.
Everybody else looked like they were preparing for a spike. Seemed like Eli knew it was a slant. We've seen this play with AB before. It's usually a fade because it's a little farther out that they've done it.
Really, what does that tell you? If it's the quarterback and one guy on the same page and the rest of the team is not, what does that tell you?
It tells me the same thing it told me when Dan Marino did it in the 90s, that, sometimes you communicate with other players on the field.
He does a signal.
Right, yeah. I felt like he looked at Eli and kind of gave him a call. What was going on in his headset?
Is there no call for the team, or is that giving away the whole thing? Because the defense
I know, there are some teams that will change the way they say it. So instead of, if it's clock, and it's the same in this motion, they might say spike, spike, spike. And that means, okay, on this one, we're going to fake the clock and throw it. And I know you have those different things. I think sometimes
fake spike would seem to tip them off. Yeah.
Well, not fake spike.
No, I'm just saying fake spike.
That might be an issue. Yeah.
Hey, fake spike it.
Yeah. Fake spike it, run a fade. But in that situation,
actually,
that would Manning. That would be Peyton Manning stuff. Sorry, Ryan.
You're fine, hey, man. Listen. I'm
going to turn off my mic.
It's your guys' show, man. It's your guys' show. I'm just here.
Please go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I'm just saying. I'm not going to call Ben a liar, like I said, because I don't know what was said. I don't like the overshare, obviously. You kind of just, you want to keep those things kind of in-house, or whatever happened, it doesn't matter. The play is the play. I like the fact that eventually he owned up to it, like I threw an interception, because that's what it was, because you didn't have to throw the ball no matter how you get to that point. And, I like the fact that Coach Tomlin supported him and was like, listen, we're playing to win the game.
That's a good word, by the way. As you and I debated what's going on with Ben, at a minimum, he's an oversharer.
That's his whole life, though. Like if you ever just listen to him, and I don't think it's purposely, I don't think it's malicious. Like, you always know what injury he has, right? We would have a strict rule that you don't talk about injuries.
He'd be the guy that would go to a casino with you, and he'd be like, "How'd you do?" And he would just double the total.
But see,
he's the dude that honestly answers the question.
You
walk in the hallways and people say, "How you doing?"
I don't think
he wouldn't say up if he was down, but if he won $10,000, he'd tell you 20.
No, see, like, I don't think that. Here's what I think.
You're calling him a liar.
Yeah, you call him a liar. That's a liar. That's not an oversharer. That's a fibber.
Yeah, here's my
theory. He's a storyteller.
Ryan,
if I'm closer.
He told Michelle Tafoya years ago that he had a temperature of like 104 that day. And people were like, "You'd be almost dead, and you're warming up."
Here's what I would say about 104 temperature. When I was dying, that's what my temperature was.
Yeah, and you were. And for those that may just wonder, wait a minute, what the hell is Ryan talking about? Like, you had some stuff that you were dealing with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when I was dying, I had 104 temperature, and it sucked. I was not able to warm up nor play football. But
so liar.
No, but listen.
I'm not even calling him a liar.
All right, listen, Pittsburgh, because I come on Russillo and they replay stuff. And now
we got you good with that Gronk thing.
Oh, it didn't bother me. Yeah, I wasn't tripping.
I know, that's why you said it.
And so, I don't think Ben lies. I think he just tells the truth, right? Whereas if you ask most cats about a knee injury, they're going to downplay it. Oh, it's a little tight, a little stiff, but
you're talking about the Antonio Brown thing.
I should be able to go. What you talking about?
When you come on the show.
Oh, right. I'm talking about, like all Patriots fans, they say they won't put hands on me now.
I got your back.
I would listen, bro. They know what ESPN is. It is not hard to get to.
No,
they come see me. But
I'm not saying I'm going to fight. I'll just talk to the people.
No, I won't. I'm going to fight. And so when you look at all this stuff that's going on, I just think he tells us more about the way he sees things happening or the way he feels than most people do. And he's not the guy that's going to say he won 20 when he won 10, but he's for sure not the guy that's going to go, "Oh, I did all right." You know what I mean? He's going to tell
Right.
you, oh, man, yeah, I bust him over the head for 10. And I think we're not used to that in football or in sports in general, especially from a quarterback.
Yes.
And so we kind of take it, you know, it's like, oh, he's calling Coach Haley out, and then Rodney Harrison says he's lying. How does Rodney know? He don't know nothing about who's lying, who's not. So I'm not going to call him a liar. I'm just saying I wish he would have kind of just kept those things tight to the vest and dealt with that with the team.
I got to ask you this quickly.
Yeah.
We'll do this because we're running out of time.
We got
but
2 minutes here.
I
We're
heard
good.
you on First Take
Mm-hmm.
talking about Jerry Richardson. What's going on in Carolina? Give us your perspective. It sounds like you've had personal interactions with the man.
not. Yeah,
You know
listen,
some things.
it's not surprising. Some of the things you hear, especially the racial things and the tone that he would take with players. He was definitely one of those who was clear that there is a difference in ownership and labor. There's a difference between you and I. He was very clear that difference stemmed from what your job was, and in a lot of cases, what your color was. And so to hear him ask people to call him Misser and those different things, that's not shocking to me. I think it is sad though, especially in the climate, because you're hearing more about it. A guy with the power he has, in the position he has, putting women especially, I know these are only allegations, so I can't say that they're true or not, putting people in situations that he has. And it's cowardly to me that now you sell the team. When you've already stated that you want to sell the team, your estate will sell the team when you retire. And so now you kind of run from the heat when it's brightest, but you had no problem, speaking up to talk about young African-American men who were protesting. And Max Kellerman today.
So that's your issue more than anything, is that now you're selling it because of these allegations.
Yes.
But prior to.
You said, yeah. No, my issue, I don't really. I can't necessarily say I have an issue. These are just my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
These are the facts that I feel are true.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate
no
it.
problem, brother. Yep.
All right. Ryan Clark in studio giving you the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. We got just Saturday, a little bit later, Tim Hasselbeck, but some news locally here. It's not local news, it's national news, but obviously very close to a bunch of us here in Bristol that we want to talk a little bit about. That's next. Will Cain, Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. Would you want to buy an NFL team right now? Cerruti asked it, and Cerruti, I think I'll have Cerruti tee this up the way he does it, because it was actually, he nailed it in the pre-show meeting. Also in the pre-show meeting, unfortunately, but I do want to spend a few minutes talking about this news that, definitely, like, nobody knew this was coming, and then, you're walking around the hallways, and all of a sudden you see the release internally that John Skipper, ESPN president, resigns today. And that George Bodenheimer, who was the ESPN president from 1998 to 2011, is going to take over as acting chairman of the company. So this is a guy that you would run into all the time. He is somebody that look, his office is the next building over, and he is a massive figure in sports, and he's going to take a leave of absence to deal with a substance addiction, and that's where we're at today. I can just start with, I love the guy. He has been awesome to me. My career took off once I sat down and started a relationship by saying, hey, I work all the time, driving back and forth. Here are the hours I put on. This is how many shows I've worked. And, this is where I'm at right now. And then he goes, I'm going to check your facts and come back to you. And he goes, everything you said was true. And he goes, all right, let's figure out something with you. And it made my ride here better. When you're a person that's the president of ESPN, you're going to get arrows from everywhere, and people are going to say, oh, he's terrible, oh, he did this, ESPN did this, so he doesn't. It's just, I'm telling you, man, if you had interacted with him at some point in work, especially he was fair. I can speak for other people that I've worked with that just really care about Skipper. So, you hope for the best. From what we know now on this, just going to try to find a way to address something, and you just go, okay, I hope this thing works out. But I can just tell you personally, or at least for me, just me talking about the guy, every interaction I had with him was great.
I would not be here but for John Skipper. And I think probably most of us can say that. But I know directly that when you hire a guy like me, it's not an easy by the books kind of decision. I didn't come from a sports background most directly. And so when somebody says, hey, we got this guy over here. Yeah, he used to be on CNN. He's kind of a conservative guy. He's got some interesting things to say and all these things. He's a sports fan, has been all his life. You got to meet with him. It takes someone willing to think outside the box. And in a huge bureaucracy. In corporate America, I can't tell you that I have vast experience dealing with bureaucracies and entities in top 500, Fortune 500 companies, but I have some. And that's a rare quality, a willingness to think outside the box, to take some kind of risk to see if it will pay off. And we'll see if I'm a payoff or not. But
you've been awesome here.
Well, but the point isn't the point of this story is to say, hey, look at this gym that I'm telling you that the qualities it takes to even look outside the box is something that is needed more in every walk of life, but specifically in corporate America. And so I'm proud that John Skipper is the guy that was willing to do that, take a risk on me. I appreciate it. I'll be forever indebted to it. And every single interaction, like you just said, on a personal level has been wonderful. Guy's incredibly bright, brilliant.
You sit with him for a few minutes. I remember the first meeting I had with him, maybe it was 7 years ago, where I go, hey, look, I've been here 5, so now can I get a little time with you? And he was like, yep. He gave me half an hour, and we talked out all sorts of things, and I walked out and went, okay, that's why this guy's president of ESPN. And, I've been talking with him recently, and he had just finished this seminar, and we all kind of laughed, at least people from the outside going like, what's this talent seminar? Like 450 egomaniacs in a room sitting there, like all of us that are on air. And Skipper was at the start of that thing after Van Pelt introduces him and brings you up. And I'm telling you, like, it was really well executed. It was kind of like, we're tired of this ESPN bashing everywhere. Here are the facts. Here's what's up. Here's who watches us. Here's our growth. Here's what's going on with these live rights. And Skipper did a really good job with that. And I remember the most recent, like, long form meeting I'd had with him. We had set up a time to meet. It was going to be a Tuesday. It was this spring. I had some concerns, just, hey, this is where my career is at right now. I'd like to keep growing. And then the Monday before our meeting, the layoff story from this past spring, where I lost a lot of on-air friends in the layoffs, that story came out that Monday. And so I go, okay. And that was saying the layoffs were going to happen. It was still like 6 weeks before they actually even happened. And then we went on a Tuesday, and he kind of talked to me about layoffs for an hour. So it ended up not being about any of the stuff that I'd gone in there. But what I realized that he was doing is he was so frustrated, and he knew it was going to be tough, that he was sort of venting to me. And I was like, wow, this is really, this is crazy. And at the end, I thought maybe I wasn't going to have a job anymore either. So,
well, in the end, I know, and I know you feel the same way. So, from what we know, and to the stint is, we're like anyone else that's read a release. What we know, we wish him the best. Hope this is something that he can deal with. And like everybody that's tweeted today at ESPN, the universal message should have some weight. I've really enjoyed getting to know John Skipper.
Yeah, this is not disingenuous. This is not just a bunch of on-air people going, I want Skipper to always like me.
Right.
And it's strategic for me. I have, like, look, you can have a difference of opinion. I have friends that no longer have great relationships with him, but I can tell you from those that have spent one-on-one time with him, doesn't mean I agree with every single decision. It's just that it's a guy, as of now, right now, knowing what we know, you're rooting for. So you hope this can be settled. All right, coming up next, would you buy an NFL team if you knew what you knew right now? It's ESPN Radio.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
We're going to have Tim Hasselbeck for double segments. Jeff Saturday a little bit later as well. And we got Will Cain all day today, Monday, The Russillo Show. Hit us up on Twitter, at Russillo Show, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. For all of your last-minute gift needs, guys, get this stuff done. It's nice. The missus is cooking. Maybe you just are festive at your house by yourself. Get some flowers. Visit 1-800-Flowers.com right now and you order a dozen Mary Red Roses for only $29.99. You get another dozen absolutely free to order. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. I'm going to play the Diddy audio for you a little bit later, a.k.a. Puff Daddy. What was he going to be there for, like a minute? Was it Buddy Love?
Brother Love.
Brother Love. Bubba was just about to jump in. Bubba, did you know that?
Yeah, Brother Love, yeah. Because people in wrestling were really upset because there's a guy, Brother Love. Like, oh, you stole his name. It's Brother Love. Come on.
Is that why he abandoned it?
Probably, yeah. Wrestling always wins.
That was a soft launch for Diddy on that Brother Love
beta
thing.
Version.
Yeah, and then he's like, what are you guys, nuts? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't change my name to something dumb. Diddy. Still Diddy. I kind of wish Bubba had picked up on the cues there to drop our collective soul, though I thought we were going to get a lot of this week before the holidays. I feel like you're messing
It'll be
that
around,
up.
don't worry.
Do I need it on the board here, or am I going to abuse it?
You might abuse it, but we can get it over there.
So you're saying I would abuse it? Yeah. Okay, all right. But because the Panthers are for sale and the investigation into Jerry Richardson from Sports Illustrated, all the stuff, do you want to just start there quick on that Jerry Richardson stuff? Because I'm reading along going, okay, where's the smoking gun? Where's the smoking gun? Maybe he's just an old dude, and maybe can I shave your legs? I'm out. I go, okay. There's no counter to, hey, thanks for making it to work today. Can I shave you?
You can't contextualize that one?
No. Well, wait a minute. What day? Was it Tuesday?
If you put that in the proper context.
Was it someone's birthday? I'm just trying to think like Michael Scott. Could Michael Scott get away with, hey, shave your buddy at work day? Doesn't work. Okay, so
yeah.
You can jump off there a little bit, or do you want to get right to the Cerruti topic?
You want me to talk now is what you're saying?
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't want to transition out of this, Will, unless you wanted it. Like, did you want to stay with this? Because I know this has kind of been your
my thing?
Yeah, your thing for a bit.
No, because I've said that the storm is coming for the sports world.
Yeah.
It's true. Let me tell you what I think. First of all, I got two analogies, so just keep up with both of them.
Okay.
All right?
I'm locked
First
in.
of all, I have said, that there is a storm coming for the sports world. I think we now know that to be true. What I will continue to tell you is I believe you are only getting the outer bands of what we now know is a Cat 5 storm. That it's going to get worse before it gets better. It is now claimed the owner of an NFL franchise, and it will claim more, and it will be more scandalous.
You're going to say more owners are going to be going down.
No, I didn't say more owners. I'm just saying more high profile, more all-encompassing, more conversation from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This will encompass everything. And I'm just telling you, I don't know how it lasted that long, that it was Hollywood and it was media, but it wasn't sports. It was clear that it's coming. And I want to say this also. This is my other analogy. I told Cerruti and the guys in the control room. Do you know what cowboy poker is? Rodeo poker?
Is that where you know everybody else's cards?
No. Now, sometimes at rodeos, maybe during a slow moment, maybe at smaller rodeos, they play.
I only go to smaller rodeos.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't encountered this yet. Then PBR's coming to Madison Square Garden here at the beginning of January. Happy to take you.
End of January?
Beginning?
All right.
Cowboy poker is you put a card table in the middle of the arena.
Oh, yeah, wait a minute. I know this. Yeah,
Four dudes sit down and start playing poker.
Yep.
Right? Then they release the bull. And the game is who can stay seated the longest? Who remains playing poker? Maybe the card table itself goes into shreds.
Yeah, and then the four guys will just be sitting there.
Maybe sometimes dudes go flying. And maybe some guys go, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm out of here, and take off running. It feels like society is playing cowboy poker right now. There are just people dropping left and right. You never know where it's coming next. Stay in your seat. Keep playing cards. If you're doing your things right, maybe he doesn't come for you.
Well, we're going to find out from Diddy that he wants to own the team. The Russillo Show, it's ESPN Radio. But Cerruti asked this question in the pre-show, which I think I know Cerruti's answer, and that's why he's asking the question.
Yeah, would you have any trepidation about buying an NFL franchise right now in the current climate?
So what are you asking me exactly?
With how we don't know what a catch is, fans are angry.
I don't care about the
ratings
catch
are
thing.
down. There's all sorts of off the field protestings going on. Do you think it's worth?
So I got.
He said buying into
first thing he said is we don't know what a catch is.
Well, I'm recency biased.
That's going to stop somebody from buying a franchise.
Here's what I would say. So I could put together a portfolio 2 + 2, whatever. Plus, I got to go over $2 billion, right? So I get my guys. I start calling all my dudes. I go, all right. So let's put together a package.
All right, I'm in for 100.
Okay. So I'm putting together this package, and basically what I have to do is I have to convince myself: is this investment going to be worth it? Or am I buying football at its peak? Am I buying that brownstone in maybe your neighborhood in New York City? No.
Williamsburg.
All right. Am I buying
Brooklyn?
Whatever. Any rich, fancy, like high demand. Am I buying this real estate right before the bubble? Okay. Am I buying it right before the bubble? And my guess would still be, if I'm putting together this ownership group, I will see an increase in value of the football property, even if it's not at the scale that it's grown the last 10 years, that I will have a return on my investment in a sports franchise in 10 years. So I would still buy it despite all their problems.
And my answer to you, Cerruti, was, because you asked this question directly after having the Jerry Richardson conversation as well, I don't have any skeletons. So, yeah, I'll buy an NFL franchise.
Will took this a whole different way.
So you went that way. I thought about the money. Just, can I put together my money? And I would say, like, here's the problem. Every time an owner complains about their challenges in ownership, who loses money with these things? So you could say the reckoning is coming, and I'm talking about financially, that all of a sudden what? That ESPN and Fox and CBS and NBC, like, we can talk about the live rights bubble, but when I think back to the charts that I look at and all the projections of how people consume stuff, live sports isn't just going to automatically go away. We can talk about some declining NFL ratings and maybe a trend that continues, but I don't, like, NFL ratings can go down and it can still be the most valuable television property with the way people watch today. Live sports in the moment. That's what people are still watching. So you can tell me a rating's going down, but so is everything else. So if I still have the best property, I just don't see, if I bought an NFL franchise in 2017, that I'd be losing money when I sold it in 2027. I don't see that happening.
I'm with you. I still think you're going to get a return on your investment, because also NFL franchises aren't just, is the bottom line red or is the bottom line black businesses. They are prestige, ego businesses, and there's always more ego buyers out there. I mean, it is a game of musical chairs at some point to play it like that, but I think it's a pretty big prestige buy that will continue to trade. I will say this, the way that I answered the question, I think will be increasingly part of the equation. Can I afford to own something high profile if I don't have the behavior or background to back it up? Because you buy an NFL franchise, maybe you don't want to sell it a year later. Maybe you don't want to sell it 2 years later.
Nobody does it and then sells it.
Maybe you need to hold on to it for 10 years. But what if something comes out in your background and you're forced to sell 2.5 years into this project? That's not the way you want to do these businesses. So I think everybody needs to be asking themselves, do I deserve a spot, or can I withstand a spot in the public spotlight? And owning NFL franchises are in the public spotlight. So Diddy, what's your...
Perfect. Diddy would be fine.
Diddy,
you kidding me? Bad boy?
Diddy is for sure.
Diddy is back, folks. Okay,
Diddy's a choir boy. We know that, so that ought to work.
This has to be one of the dumbest things debated in social media history, is what would Diddy be as an owner? And he's winning. He's winning this 24, 48-hour news cycle by even being talked about here. But you're going to hear from him next, his proposal, where he screws up the name of the team, which is lock for me. That's next. Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Your Puff Daddy, P. Diddy level of interest, we're about the same age. Give me peak Diddy for you.
Was not high.
Never.
Mm-mm.
I never liked him. Not once. I liked Mace a little bit.
I was going to say the same thing. I liked Mace a little bit, and that was actually the only reason I ever paid attention to Diddy. Those Mace had like 2 or 3 in a row that were just really, really good.
But even that was pretty short-lived, and I saw Mace.
I'm told Mace is beefing right now with Cameron. Pretty heavy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, that's not cool, guys. Diddy, you got to respect all of the other stuff, but like as a performer, buying his album, like, no, come on, man. Like even when it was happening, I wasn't super into it. But he has stayed relevant. I believe one time at the ESPYs I saw him. I would love if someone here at ESPN could send me an internal email, work email, and back this up. But I believe Diddy bought 2 seats, or demanded, he didn't pay for them because that's not how it works for famous people at the ESPYs, but he had 2 seats in the front and he left the other one empty. Baller move.
But why?
Just because it's Diddy. He wasn't going to bring, his statement was he wasn't going to bring anyone with him to the ESPYs, and on top of that, my +1 is just going to be an empty seat.
It's like buying a first-class ticket. I just get a little extra extra leg room there?
No, because the seat's next to him. So unless he's going to
spread his arms out, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, right, like that elbow
his
rest.
Drink down there?
I think that's what happened. I've never seen anything like it. Anyway, so that's the guy. We know how much he's more about being a mogul than he is ever being a rapper. So to add to that mogul level, he said that he wanted to buy the Panthers with the reports that Jerry Richardson is now selling them.
Okay, y'all, this is just in breaking news. The North Carolina...
Okay, focus at least on that beginning part on which team it is, because I want to make sure it's the same team.
Okay, y'all, this is just in breaking news. The North Carolina Panthers, okay? North Carolina Panthers are up for sale. I believe it's time to turn the franchise over to new ownership. Well, I need to send a message out to everybody in the beautiful state of North Carolina. I will be the best NFL owner that you can imagine. I will immediately address the Colin Kaepernick situation and put him in the running for next year's starting quarterback. It's just competition, baby. It's just competition. But also, I will have the best halftime show, the best selection of music, and we will win.
Not if you start Kaepernick
Super Bowls
over Cam.
Why would we cut it off there? He says multiple Super Bowls, right? He says Super Bowls.
Gets cut off in the video, yeah.
Oh, I saw a video where it doesn't get cut off, where he says we're going to win Super Bowls.
So let me just get this straight. On the agenda, sign Colin Kaepernick, put him in contention to start over Cam Newton.
Who won an MVP.
Really good halftime shows, best music selection in and out of timeouts, win Super Bowls in that order. Maybe in that order?
It was off the cuff.
You writing it down?
Yeah, I'm trying to see what this would be. Obviously, I want this to happen, but what I can't believe is that people don't understand what's going on here. It's just, hey, I'm going to release a video. It's going to get a few million views. I stay relevant. I'm in the cycle now for a couple days. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. There's Diddy. And by the way, graphics on TV. I'm sorry, but graphics guys today on the Russillo Show on ESPN News don't graphic that as P Diddy. Like we're a newer show here. Okay, we're the show that gets it. This is not Harlem Shake here. Okay, don't graphic him as P Diddy. It's the Russillo Show. His name's Diddy. You're embarrassing me now.
I like when you snap when you talk. Like,
yeah. So
like you're a Hollywood mogul now.
But then people were doing them like, what would he be like as an owner? Yo, that would be great, right? This 40 seconds tells you it'd be a disaster. Let's have it happen.
But he's not alone now, right? He's got others in on his ownership group, one of which is his potential starting quarterback.
Kaepernick wants in.
Kaepernick's in. He wants to be an NFL owner.
Steph Curry wants in.
On Diddy's ownership group?
Yes. He said, I'm in.
He knows.
Steph hasn't done the update yet on his phone.
He knows. Steph knows. It's not the North Carolina Panthers, at least.
Yeah, that's a tough. Like if I said, hey, can't believe the Pats are for sale. I want to buy the Boston Patriots. How do you think that would go over in the 617? Like, does he not know that they changed that 40 years ago? 50 years ago?
Well, I'm guessing South Carolina doesn't feel good about it right now. Any denizens of South Carolina feel a little slighted by that.
Or maybe they never really bought in all the way. But yeah, I saw like serious people going, I wonder. You know what he's probably doing? This is the deal. Is they go, can I do one of those Magic Johnson Jeter deals? Where I give you like $20 million and then I make it back in salary in 4 or 5 years and I have other people pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't blame any famous person for going, okay, so
can I have the Jeter deal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I do a 2% kick in and yet everybody thinks I'm the owner and then I get to do all the TV stuff.
And I get a $5 million salary a year. So.
Jeter's going to make back his investment in less than 4 years on the Marlins.
Right, on salary alone.
Right, and then he's going to have a percentage of when they're sold.
Yes.
I've done it wrong. I should have just been a Hall of Fame shortstop this whole time. And
it's a shame your dad didn't talk to you about that.
I know.
Like got career advice or maybe an advisor at the University of Vermont?
Yeah, be like, okay, here's the plan. I think I'm going to drop pre-law and I'd like to be a Hall of Fame athlete.
And she would have been like, he or she, the counsel would have been like, well, on the plus side, high likelihood of ownership stake in a professional franchise at the back end.
Yes. If
on the downside,
right? Have
you sexually harassed anybody?
Can you do 15 years of advanced metrics? Right. Can you do that? All right, coming up next, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Russillo Show. Are we seeing the beginning of the end of the Seahawks? It's ESPN Radio. Tim Hasselbeck will be here. We'll get back to the Steelers' woes and the Pats win as they are now the 1 seed in the AFC and what that means to the playoffs with Will Cain, the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio. Reminding everybody 30 for 30 podcasts have returned. These are stories you just have to hear to believe. Subscribe now to listen to them. You can hit it up in the Listen tab of the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts, brought to you by the Citi Double Cash Card. Again, Hasselbeck coming up a little bit later. Seahawks, I've told you I have a hard time quitting them, and they start off 1-2, and you're like, whatever, what are we doing here? They didn't feel like they were scoring any points, and then they started scoring points, and then it looked like their defense was turning things around. They'd lost a couple close games, the Atlanta game, the Washington game, so things felt a little better. Then they lose to the Jags, who everybody's losing to, and they get absolutely housed at home to the Rams. I mean, they're down 34-0. 34-0 at the half. They lose 42-7, and then you got Pete Carroll going, we're not any good.
Were you happy with the effort in a game like that?
I wasn't happy with anything. There was nothing about that game. We avoided getting shut out. We scored a touchdown, and no, there's nothing to be happy about. That was a really dismal performance by us.
So have you quit them?
Well, that Eagles win is still going to stick in my head here a little bit, okay? Because I don't think many teams could do what they did against the Eagles. That's my whole point. Like, when you actually, how many teams could sit there and go, hey, Eagles, we're going to dominate you. We're going to dominate you defensively. And they were missing guys in their secondary. But now it's catching up to them. And now Russell Wilson, who I thought should have been the MVP 2 weeks ago, it's not that he wasn't great, because he wasn't. Then he's sacked 7 times as well. But yeah, I'm no longer afraid of the Seahawks if they end up finding a way to sweat it into the playoffs here.
They will not win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay, well,
I think they will not make the playoffs. I think that was such a punctuation mark yesterday to the Seahawks season. And I guess if one wanted to be really dramatic, you could say that's a punctuation mark on this iteration
the Seattle run.
Yeah.
This run is over.
I mean, it hesitant to call it a dynasty, so whatever we call this run.
But the run of, it's the Seahawks, the team
as
you
we
were
know
afraid
them.
of. Yeah.
Right. I mean, wasn't it 40-0 at one point, or did it only get to 34-0? It got to 40-0. Todd Gurley destroyed that Seattle Seahawks defense. And the Seahawks did something which I feel like is more indicative of why this is the I don't know if it's the beginning of the end or just the end of the Seahawks, and that's they continue to turn on themselves and play outside the bounds of football. There were unsportsmanlike conduct penalties again. There's bickering after each play. There's just chippiness. They looked like sore losers throughout this game. And then at the end of the game, Bobby Wagner, what do we have? Do we have that tweet? Bobby Wagner tweeted. Srudy, can you put that up?
Well, because Earl Thomas suggested that Bobby Wagner should not have played because Wagner was injured. Okay? Earl Thomas is saying basically, hey, he was hurt, probably shouldn't have been out there. We had other guys that may have been able to help. And Wagner wasn't having it, and even accused Thomas essentially of being jealous of other people's success. And the tweet from Wagner was, I believe it was one of those get your name out my mouth deals.
Yeah, there it is.
And it said, keep my name out your mouth. Stop being jealous of other people's success. I still hope you keep balling, bro. So he
deleted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner, two of the foundations, two of the cornerstones of that Seahawks defense.
And two just great guys to talk to. I'm not telling you I know them because you've had them on the show a bunch of times, but both great interviews, both into it. Isn't this just a classic? Isn't this a bit like the Cam Newton thing, though? When you felt some of those highs, and obviously Cam lost the Super Bowl, but you felt some of those highs, that there's certain athletes that when it is not going right and you're used to it going right, those are the teams that quit. The teams that go, this isn't who we are. This is awful. And it's not just the bad team that's used to being bad. It's the team that's been great that can't handle being as terrible as the Seahawks looked yesterday. And they're just dudes that are mouthing off to each other because they're not used to this. They're not figuring out the things they usually figure out.
Well, the truth of the matter is the Seahawks were doing this when they were winning as well, right?
Yeah.
It just didn't pull them down.
That's exactly like, this is the sore loser thing, but sometimes guys are sore losers because you're just insufferable and you don't want to hear from them anymore. But other times it's just, because you're freaking out. You go, wait a minute.
Does this validate Pete Carroll or does this undercut him? So for years, the Seahawks have been a winning organization on the football field, yet there are players yelling at their offensive coordinator, bickering in the news, walking out of press conferences. That's going on consistently under Pete Carroll. We talked about it, but it didn't really come back on Pete Carroll. It didn't indict Pete Carroll. But now, in the midst of getting smashed by the Rams, having a complete meltdown against the Jaguars. It looks like Pete Carroll has no control over this team.
Well, we've heard from Louis Riddick. We've heard from others that understand it, is that with all the personalities going back to Marshawn being there and that secondary and Bennett, that this team, Pete likes it to be chaotic. He likes everyone to be themselves and for it to be chaotic, which is funny because they have kind of the least chaotic face of the franchise ever in Russell Wilson. And as bad as it looks now, and it looks like they quit yesterday, and you're right, down 40-0. And by the way, to a division opponent that we're still probably holding back a little bit on, going, are the Rams really this good? And they go up to that place and go up 40-0 on you. A team that had a 5-year run at this, Seattle. 5 years of double-digit wins, 5 years in the playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, very well could have had 2 Super Bowl wins. Like, I'm not going to then blame them as this falls apart, saying that they've handled their business the wrong way, when the way they handled their business was one of the best teams in the league for half a decade.
Look, Jimmy Graham, unrestricted free agent. Is there any sense that you think Richard Sherman will be back next year?
No, because they wanted to trade him this offseason.
Right. Sheldon Richardson, unrestricted free agency. Luke Wilson tight end. I mean, Paul Richardson, the wide receiver.
Yeah, and the secondary is older. I mean, all of those guys in the secondary are older, and they all have been hurt a little bit. Like, suggesting that this isn't going to miraculously turn around and the Seahawks are going to, are not going to be a Super Bowl contender in 2018. Like, this is kind of how it works, right? This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and the familiar faces that we've come to recognize as the Seahawks, I just don't know that we can count on them being the Seahawks next year. And maybe, by the way, that'll be addition by subtraction, because at some point, I think you do have to get your house in order. I don't subscribe to this chaos theory. But
it worked, didn't it?
I mean, it's kind of funny how we reverse engineer that. Like, did it work because of the chaos theory, or did it work in spite of the chaos theory? If it's because of, it's just curious we don't have many other examples of that.
No, you don't. Right. If you were a head coach, you'd be like, okay, well, how do you want to do this? You'd be like, I want everybody mouthing off all the time. I want no clear direction.
We're doing the Seahawks thing.
I'd like insubordination.
Yeah. What would you say, Coach Tomlin, is your path to success? What would be your model? General chaos, the Seattle Seahawks way. That's the model we're going to implement here.
Yeah.
I'm going with in spite of.
But this, you've been on this for a little bit. I mean,
Michael Bennett, no fine last week. What made me think that you've been on this?
Will Cain, back, folks. No fine. No fine.
No fine. Only player who got everyone who got a flag at the end of that Jaguars game got fined, but one.
Wait a minute. So the white guy got fined? Linder?
Well, I don't think he got flagged. Linder didn't get flagged.
He didn't get flagged for anything?
Yeah.
Just making sure. I want to keep track. The race standings.
It's back, folks.
Just want to keep track of the fines. That was ugly. But 2 weeks, I mean, think about the shift in how some of this stuff has played out. Pittsburgh looks like they're going to lose to a Baltimore team that, again, is playing a little bit better on offense the last month or so. But that's that primetime game, and the Steelers come back, and you go, why the hell are you screwing around with the Ravens? Why the hell does it look like Brett Hundley can move the football on you with the Packers? And then they look like they're going to pull out this win against a really good Pats team. And if you're a Steelers fan, you're going, hey, say what you want, but we lost Antonio Brown early. We win that game. Okay, all right, that's not a reach. But the Pats go into Pittsburgh, beat a Steelers team, now lead the standings for the number 1 seed in the AFC East after they dropped a total dud against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, where it's probably the worst the Pats have looked all season long. I don't even think that's debatable, really. So there's these little pockets of, like, even really good teams can look terrible, but you're like, the safer bet on this one is that the Seahawks are not always going to be sitting there in the NFC Championship game.
Hey, real quick, if you're a Steelers fan,
yeah,
how do you feel today? Do you feel optimistic or pessimistic about your team?
I'll answer that next. We'll ask Tim Hasselbeck that. Okay? Let's get Hasselbeck's answer on that one. He'll be in studio with us. Russillo Show, Will Cain, reminding you watch all 3 hours of the show on ESPN News. We have our financial advisor, Tim Hasselbeck, with us for the Russillo Show, Will Cain, ESPN Radio, because we were just breaking down all the Diddy purchase stuff, because Diddy is back, folks, and wants to buy the Panthers. And then we started going through what the numbers would be for the other partners that got on Twitter and said, count me in. But I want to do that a little bit later, because, Will, I know you have a question for him.
Well, I asked you this before we went to break, Ryan. I'm going to ask you, Tim. So after yesterday's game, Patriots-Steelers, if you're a Steelers fan, that clock hits zeros. How do you feel about your team today? You feel optimistic about their future this season, or do you feel pessimistic?
I think you're disappointed not because of the outcome of the game. I think you're disappointed because Antonio Brown got hurt, and you don't know if you don't know when you're getting him back. I mean, I think your bigger takeaway is the loss of Antonio Brown.
Well, okay, Brown goes down. You're looking at it like it's all right. It's stupid play. We still almost win this thing, but I feel like the Brady pick and then the short field end touchdown for the Steelers was almost lost in all this. Like if that pick doesn't happen, I don't know if the Steelers crack 16 points.
Oh yeah, but listen, I think we think that New England's a good team. They took New England to the wire. Really had multiple opportunities to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, if you just look at it as the team that many people believe is the favorite to go to the Super Bowl in our conference, can we beat them? They've kind of had their way with us, especially in the postseason. Are we good enough to beat them? Can we beat them? Are we a different team now? And I think they kind of feel like, yeah, man, we were toe to toe with them. Like we're like, and whether it's a mistake made by another team or not, like New England's looking at it like, look, we made the plays, they didn't, even though it'd be very easy to just look at that game and say, well, this call goes that way, and you eliminate, the dumb decision by Ben late and you win the game. But I think the bigger thing for them is they felt like they could play with New England before the game. They certainly feel that way after the game. And, other than having to go to Foxborough, I think the bigger disappointment is Antonio Brown's hurt.
Yeah, I think that the Foxborough thing is the reason anybody's entertaining the idea that you'd feel pessimistic. If I were a Steeler fan, I'd watch that yesterday and I'd feel great. I mean, the things that went wrong for the Steelers, that's fixable. That kind of play at the end of a game, that's not
at the end of the game, the pick. But that's kind of my point, is that no one's bringing up the Brady pick in a short field and a touchdown. So I'm not trying to be this like pro-Patriot thing on the whole deal, but I don't know. Why do you get to include that pick at the end and say, oh, well, the Steelers would have won if it wasn't for that one, and then dismiss the Brady?
No, but I'm not saying that. I think it's less of a hot take. But
I think some people
said.
Look at those picks being somewhat different in the sense that, like, one is more just traditional football play. Guy gets driven back into his lap, pressure on the quarterback. Where Ben's it's not even really a play. It's a fake spike, and you're trying to make something happen. I think the other aspect of it, in terms of how you look at it. Pittsburgh's first touchdown should not have stood. They throw a flag, and the left guard's 3 yards down the field. It's a run-pass option. So they throw a flag for legal man downfield, and for some unknown reason, they pick up the flag, and then CBS never shows it to us again.
Yeah, they just went, hey, everything's good.
Went back and looked at it, and that play should not have been a touchdown.
Okay, help us out with Roethlisberger then, because the explanation afterwards, everybody's trying to figure out who called the code red, okay? Who ordered the code red, I guess is the best way to put that. And Roethlisberger immediately tells us his version of this.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd. Now, once again, that's coming from the head guy. Someone's telling them, but they, maybe they wanted a field goal. Maybe they wanted to tie it. I don't know, and so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just clocked it, whatever it is. I don't know. So we're not going to look back and second guess anything or anybody. We lost the game, and I threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game to lose it.
What's going on there? Because Rodney Harrison flat out called him a liar, basically, on the Sunday night halftime broadcast. He goes, yeah, Ben needs to own it more and realize that it's all on him. I don't know. You can not like Roethlisberger, but to then say, okay, I'm going to blame Todd Haley for this thing, maybe it's just, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that I just find generally confusing about what he says, because he says, that comes from the head man. I mean, the truth is Mike Tomlin has zero involvement at all in terms of calling plays offensively. None, and so I don't know how Ben feels like that's coordinated from Mike Tomlin in terms of what the play call is, whether you're stopping the clock there, right
so
away. So
Haley wouldn't even
seconds.
do that?
No. Tomlin,
he's saying.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like Tomlin wouldn't have any input on, do you want to go kick the field goal and clock it?
No. He has the endpoint of hey, let's stop the clock, right?
Okay.
But he's not saying run this play, run the fake spike, run like there's not time to organize that. Now, that is something that could come from the sideline. It easily could come from Haley. The other aspect of it is this, especially with somebody like Ben that's played as much as Ben has played, it could come straight from Ben, and
dun, dun, dun.
Now regardless, and this is the case for sure, regardless if it came from Tomlin, Ben's mom, his sister, or Ben himself, it doesn't matter. What matters is it wasn't there. So when you call it, okay, so you're yelling, clock, 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 clock. You signal to one receiver, the guy that you're thinking of throwing the route to. You signal to him the route you want him to run, and then you fake the spike and you throw it. No one else even knows what's going on. It's just you and that other guy. Well, when it's not there, you now have to throw it away. It's like calling a flea flicker. Just because you call it a flea flicker doesn't mean you need to throw it down the field if it's covered.
Right.
It's the same principle.
So that's how the fake clock works. Only one other guy along with the quarterback knows what's going on.
Well, sometimes you may have something different. Like you may say, hey, Big Ben, maybe that is a different type of clock play, right? And where that is the fake play. But when you watch them, okay, when you watch them do it, there's 9 other guys not doing anything. You look at where Le'Veon Bell is. Le'Veon Bell is frozen, kind of, off the line of scrimmage, but he's not even behind, he's not even in the tackle box. He's just standing still as to not to get a legal motion penalty.
Let's talk with you about how much it would actually cost to get in on some of this ownership here for the North Carolina Panthers.
I'm in it with you guys if you guys are in. Will's
going to have to carry most of the weight on this one.
New York City money.
Will's got that old money.
Mm-hmm.
Hasselbeck family's new money. All right, we're going to do that next. Right here, Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
Tim Hasselbeck for another segment. Jeff Saturday coming up a little bit later this hour. We've hit on the Steelers and the Pats a bunch here. We'll probably get back to that with Saturday and the Jerry Richardson story. Owner of the Panthers will be selling the team after a report this weekend of misconduct and even some settlement that has happened with employees there. So Richardson at 81 looking to sell the Panthers. Will Cain, Hasselbeck, Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. So the reason I bring that up, it's not so much, okay, Richardson, he is a guy. Everybody on social media after Diddy said,
okay, y'all, this is just in breaking news. The North Carolina Panthers, okay? North Carolina Panthers are up for sale.
He wants in. Everybody wants in. But the raw numbers here actually don't add up.
What do you think of the North Carolina Panthers?
You didn't hear that he got it wrong? He didn't know. He got it wrong.
The
Are they cheaper? Probably.
Than the South Carolina Panthers?
That can't be a great start. Like if you call them the Massachusetts Patriots on SportsCenter and said that you, your dad, and your brother were going to get together.
It's the Springfield Celts,
Dude, whatever. Peabody. What's up now?
I saw you drop. I heard you drop your Boston accent on Ryan Clark earlier.
Clark didn't know what to do.
I mean, the North Carolina.
You almost did boxing. Okay,
that's amazing.
It is, and it's not impressive. But at least Diddy, and you made a good point. Like when you start getting those residuals forever, if you could just get into the DVD release world of your sitcom. You're printing money, baby. Boston Common, remember that sitcom?
Yeah,
those guys are still killing it off of that.
Remember that sitcom? Yes.
Mailbox money, baby.
Yeah, Ally McBeal,
all
just
over
sitting around cashing your money.
Well, what I said is when you have an equity stake, when you're not just. I don't mean this. When you're not guys like us, I don't want to speak about Tim, so I don't really know. When you're not a salaried guy, right?
Yeah.
So Steph Curry, God love him.
Well, he's a salary guy.
He's really rich. He's a salaried guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard to put together the scratch to get billions.
Yes, you're right.
When you're a salaried guy.
You are right about that.
So who can we rule out now? Who can we save time?
Well that's why we were laughing.
All of them?
Well,
all
like
of the
Kaepernick
names.
thing.
Let's start with
some
Kaepernick.
people do it because they obviously got a lot of attention and whatever. So Colin Kaepernick has made $43 million playing professional football. It's cash earnings playing football. Sounds like a lot of money to everybody listening. The reality is that means he has about $21, million post-tax. So now he's lived off of it for
a few years here.
7-8 years now. So, The reality is that if you're going to buy a franchise that's worth over $2 billion, you are not even invited to have the conversation.
Like delete the tweet almost.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, honestly. It's like it shows you no, it is.
It shows what?
Well, it just shows how out of context you think it is. But I think it actually gives you a glimpse into, almost to Will's point about these salaried employees, where guys think like, oh yeah, I got real money. Like I have real, like this is, I'm like all of these guys. It's like, no, you're not. Look, you're making a lot of money, and you have way more money than you ever thought you would ever have.
Yeah, Kaepernick very well should have millions in the bank.
But the reality is like compared to somebody who actually owns the team, you're not even in the same zip code.
It was, I think I heard this when I was in politics once, but there's no more animosity and no more bigger dividing line in society. It's not the rich and the poor that really, really resent each other. It's the merely rich who really, really resent the stinking rich. Mm-hmm. That's the real dividing line.
And I think it's the comparison trap is what happens. You know what I mean? Like you think you're doing great. So think about it. We were talking about this off air. Derek Jeter made nearly $270 million just from baseball. So who the heck knows what he made between the, all the other stuff. I mean, he basically had his own brand, the Jordan brand was, so made a lot of money off the field as well. And what stake did he buy in the Marlins?
Here's the number on it. It's a 4% stake. He threw in $25 million. And this is what these teams do. And maybe that's where Kaepernick comes in going, I'm not going to cut you like one of the real checks. I'm going to give you one of the Jeter checks. And I don't even think he could come up with a Jeter check based on the finances.
No, he couldn't come up with the Jeter check. That's the point. He couldn't come up with a Jeter check.
Magic Johnson could come up with a check, but he still only paid $50 million for a 3% stake in the Dodgers. I don't know what Magic's salary is. The Jeter thing sounds like throwing 25 will pay you back. You'll have gotten all your money back here, and then you're going to have a stake. But
and you're an ambassador to us. You're an ambassador.
Everyone will like you. You won't trade away our best players.
Yeah, because the truth is the people that can come in and buy them. So think about the wealthy individuals that can come in and buy teams. They don't want to start siphoning off 3% here, 3% there to some guys that are giving them $20 million. They don't need their money. And they certainly don't need Colin Kaepernick or P. Diddy to be their ambassador. They don't need an ambassador.
Not passing judgment on it, not making a value call, just a sheer odds call. What are the chances the NFL owners approve Colin Kaepernick as a minority owner in an NFL
while
franchise?
He's suing them? I mean, it's not. They would laugh about it.
Think about the PR disaster, though, if they wouldn't. Oh my God!
So you're out. You're not in on this Titans deal.
Titans? No, are they for sale?
Well, would you tweet out a video of you if the Titans were for sale? Would you and Maddie?
Hey, the
Nashville Titans,
the Memphis Titans are for sale. Like now, what?
So it doesn't seem likely that Diddy's going to buy the Panthers. That's what I think I'm learning.
Listen, I don't know anything about his money. Like I don't know anything about that. All I know is like it then got into like sheer ridiculousness with Kaepernick. But look, even somebody like Steph Curry, who's made $90 million playing basketball, okay, and is due to make a ton more over the next 4 years.
By the time this next contract's up, he'll be about $260 million in salary, and that's not including all the Under Armour money.
Correct.
And his wife's TV show.
But so here's it. But you got to cut it in half.
Yep. Even more so in California.
Correct. And so now, so that's now where you're taking, and look, these guys aren't, they're not driving around in their, Honda Accord from high school, or, they're buying homes and they have their money wrapped up in other things. So what kind of check are you comfortable writing to the NFL when, let's also call it, let's be fair about this as well. You're valuing this thing at over $2 billion. And I don't know his name, but when the owner of the Rockets bought that team, he basically said, look, I wouldn't feel comfortable spending this kind of money with the future of football.
Well, look, this takes us back to Cerruti's question he asked a little bit earlier, is would you buy an NFL franchise right now? And I was just looking through the Forbes 400 list, like who's the likely purchaser of an NFL franchise? And,
who'd you come up with?
Obviously different than 10 years ago. There's some young names on that list now. Mark Zuckerberg, the Sergey Brin, the Google guys. You know, you can keep going down. You'll start getting into more tech names that you've heard of. Would guys like that, under 40?
There's 32 of them, man.
Wrap
and that's
up their
why
money
we can knock that league all you want. I still don't know what's replacing live rights for television, okay? The NFL is going to make more money on the next TV deal, not less. There's 32 of these things. If I bought an NFL team today, I would not lose money on the sale in 10 years.
No, in 10 years you want it. But the question is, when you're that amount of money, okay, and you look at how long some of these guys have owned some of these teams, I mean, what is the future of football in 30 years from now? Football is my dad played in the 80s, okay? Football is a heck of a lot different now than it was in the 80s. So fast forward 30 more years, what is it? I mean, there's a reason the NFL is concerned about youth football numbers being down. Like, there's a reason they are going so hard at flag football.
Yeah, and football's family.
And it's not
all
because families are signing their kids up to play football.
I'll tell you, I would love this. I would love if we could find out the perspective from two individuals, like Peter Thiel, one of the founders of PayPal.
Hey, if
eBay.
You're a billionaire, call in. Triple H say ESPN.
Because you know what? You're probably not making money right now. You're probably listening to us.
But that's exactly right. Two kinds. That guy, the young tech, made his money in the last 10 years, made his billions in the last 15 years kind of guy, and Warren Buffett. Value player, sees value in declining franchises, even there's money in a melting iceberg. Does the NFL franchise still a worthy investment?
How about we do this? Let's see if we can get a billionaire to call in, and we'll verify you in the break. 888 say ESPN. If you're a billionaire, call into the show. Let us know what your plans are financially. And
want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
Okay, hope everybody's gearing up here. Another week for those of you celebrating Christmas. Some of you are celebrating Christmas because you're selling so much stuff. We got Will Cain, time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Okay, so here's the deal. We've got Ryan Clark this hour. He's going to join us 1:30 Eastern. We'll get to this Jerry Richardson story, but I don't want to lead there. I wouldn't lead there probably, even though I don't know what's going on. He's selling the Panthers. A story came out. He seems a tad sketchy, but we'll leave it at that for right now. We're going to do that a little bit later because Clark has intimate stuff where he's been involved. Jeff Saturday negotiated against some CBAs. I just don't want to start there, Will. That makes sense, right?
Right?
I think the right move in producing a show today, we could do a little bit on the Seahawks. Cerruti has the best NFL question he's put into the show, producing-wise, the entire football season. It's a great question. We'll do that at the top of the next hour. We have some internal stuff that I definitely want to hit on later this hour, but we're going to start with Pat Steelers. It was supposed to be the game. I thought the slate was really good this weekend. And in that game, the Pats pull it out, and I think we're left to kind of go in a bunch of different directions. We could go with, what the hell's a catch? Year 3, 5, whatever. Are the Pats real? Are the Steelers done? Is it another bad matchup? But I think the best thing to start with is really, who is Ben Roethlisberger? Before we get into the play that leads to the game-winning interception by the Pats, where are you on Ben Roethlisberger through his career? And then kind of we'll, revisit that today and hear from him.
Well, first of all, I want to say I think you're starting in the right place. Your producing is just impeccable. It's on point.
Thank you.
As one would expect it to be, because I want to give you this note right here via CBS. Pat Steelers' highest-rated game of the NFL season, a 17 rating. That's up 8% from Week 15 last year. Everybody was watching that game. Who is Ben Roethlisberger? Where am I on Ben Roethlisberger? Man, I wish I had like a short, pithy, quick answer for you on Ben Roethlisberger is X.
All right, I'll go first.
Oh, you have that?
I don't like him.
Okay. Well,
I think he's really good, but I've just never been a huge Ben Roethlisberger guy. And he blocked me on Twitter.
He blocked you on Twitter?
Well, that's an old joke. He's blocked like 2,000 media members on Twitter.
Am I blocked? I wonder.
Better be.
I should go check it out. It's like Scaramucci. I didn't know he followed me till you told me.
Yeah, right. It's exactly the same thing. We could get into the off the field thing, but if I'm going to be fair, the league moved on from it. I think he's a drama queen in the sense that he's just everything. I'm always this hurt, I'm this hurt, all these different things. But, and I try to do this a lot, there are guys that I may not necessarily like, but I think they're awesome. And I think he's awesome. And I think he's been playing great. And I thought, look, he was this close to giving his team a huge win, especially when you consider AFC home field. So
he played great yesterday.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He is you know what? He is underrated. His historical context is underrated. Putting him, he's not in the Brady Rodgers class, but he's not very far behind that. He's got the career accomplishments to back it up. Where am I on him? Sometimes I'm like, wow, you know what Ben Roethlisberger doesn't do? He doesn't do the, hey, this is from the top. We got this from the fourth floor PR. This is how we'd like you to spin the game today. This is what we'd like you to say. And he doesn't do that. And whether or not it's Antonio Brown or Mike Tomlin, or in this case, Todd Haley, you seem like you're just getting it straight, unfiltered. This is kind of how I saw it.
Kind of what we want, right? We asked for a lot.
We asked for.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, I listened to that whole explanation this week about did Todd Haley tell him to clock it? Did he overrule him? Who did it? And I'm like, is he telling the truth?
All right, well, let's hear from Roethlisberger. Because remember, Steelers coming down. They've just given up the lead 27-24. They hit Schuster for a 69-yard play. And it looked at one point, it was just a man in a pro football game standing on the field with no one ready to tackle him. And you go, are they going to win this game right now? So he gets tackled. They have another play where the player's tackled in bounds. He throws it to Jesse James. We'll do the whole catch thing later. But then when the James thing is overturned, you're sitting there going, okay, the James thing was overturned. Then they throw it. They keep the guy in bounds. They run up. It's third down. They can clock it right there. Fourth down, kick the game-tying field goal. I like that Roethlisberger and those guys are going for it. Then it's a matter of who really knew what the play was. And then afterwards, you're going to Roethlisberger do that on his own. He says absolutely not. Here's his explanation and the thing everyone's debating today.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd. Now, once again, that's coming from the head guy. Someone's telling them, but they, maybe they wanted the field goal. Maybe they wanted to tie it. I don't know, and so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just clocked it, whatever it is. I don't know. So we're not going to look back and second guess anything or anybody. We lost a game, and I threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game to lose it.
If it's true, that's great. He gave us what we wanted there, but then no one seemed to like that. And I'll admit, because I don't like him in a weird, and I'm doing the total transparency thing here. Because I don't like him, I kind of want it to not be true, and that's totally unfair. And then when I watched the NBC broadcast last night of your Cowboys against the Raiders, Rodney Harrison torched him. Yeah. Rodney Harrison said flat out, that's not true. You need to own it. Rodney Harrison was accusing Roethlisberger of wanting to not clock it on his own and try to throw it into the end zone for the winning play, which, again, I don't have a problem with that strategy. And then I'm going, wait a minute, could that be possible? Could Roethlisberger have made this, like, even if I don't love Roethlisberger, like, come on. He's just making this whole thing up to blame somebody else for the interception? That seems kind of crazy.
Well, wait. So I heard the same thing, right? I heard Rodney Harrison last night essentially call Roethlisberger a liar.
Yeah.
But now as you just played that sound again, I don't think that's what he's doing. I don't think he's laying blame on Todd Haley. I think what he's saying is, Haley got in my ear, said clock it, right? And many of us watching, you and I don't have a problem with Roethlisberger overruling that call and throwing it in the end zone. We don't have a problem with him fake clocking it and going for it.
Because imagine if it worked.
Imagine if it worked.
Everybody would have been going. Like, I do the stupid thing at home in those moments, Will, fourth down, goal line, whatever. I go, okay, say exactly what you think is the right call now.
Right. Well, I think some are going, you should have clocked it. You should have taken the field goal. You shouldn't have taken the one outcome that can produce a loss for you, a loss in the moment. As you play that sound, man, I sort of feel like that's Roethlisberger putting the blame on himself, not on Haley.
You want to hear it again? I feel like you want to hear it again.
He says, Haley told me to clock it. I didn't do it. Maybe Haley wanted to play for the field goal. I did this. So essentially, he's taking the outcome on his shoulders.
Did you see his face? Have you seen the video of this?
No, just heard it.
Because I saw that when I was watching all the recap stuff.
You see the lie on his face?
It felt, and I watched it again last night. Like, I watched it last night, I caught it today, and I go, all right, what's the real issue here? I don't have an issue. They threw a pick. It's a mistake. Every dude, there's so many dudes would be going if they threw a touchdown. Like, championship football, number 1 seed on the line. Don't have to go to Foxborough. Love it. Tomlin, he likes EPMD. This guy's awesome. He's
always
aggressive.
goes for two.
Yeah. When it was picked and it went right to Tomlin to runny nose, bleep, you're like, now you don't look like a smart coach. If it was a completion, you're going, that guy, just look at steely-eyed deal. So you want to hear it one more time. You think Roethlisberger actually isn't blaming someone else.
But taking the blame himself. Listen.
But see, this is the thing: is in the rules of this thing we're doing here, Will, you're not supposed to mention anyone. You're supposed to say it was my decision, mine alone.
That's true, but we just said he doesn't get releases from the fourth floor PR department.
To be real clear on that, is that Randy or Todd in your ear saying go for it instead of clock it?
Yes.
Which one?
Todd. Now, once again, that's coming from the head guy. Someone's telling them, but they, maybe they wanted a field goal. Maybe they wanted to tie it. I don't know, and so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have just clocked it, whatever it is. I don't know. So we're not going to look back and second guess anything or anybody. We lost the game, and I threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game to lose it.
What do you think? You hear it my way?
I know how you're getting there. And what I'm doing, like, I'm openly admitting on the air, because I haven't liked Roethlisberger all that much. Like, part of me was rooting for someone in the Steelers staff. Like, I'd love to get a text from somebody later in the week and be like, "Oh, the staff is."
Could you hear him debating with himself when he said, when the question is which one, and he goes, Todd. You could literally hear the devil on the one shoulder and the angel on the other going, "Should I not? Should I?"
Quarterbacking 101, though. Like Russell Wilson, imagine if Russell would have given us the...
Well, Russell works on the fourth floor.
Yeah.
He's in the PR department. He doesn't have to get the releases because he helps craft them.
This is me being, I'll admit, inconsistent. You go, maybe he gave us the perfect explanation, told us the truth, and then we got exactly what we want, so I should embrace that. But the rules of this here thing is that he's supposed to go...
Yeah, you hate Russell for being so politically correct.
Yeah, I'm being...
Yeah.
I don't think it's... Some guys will try to hit me with the total black and white and be like, every time someone tells me the truth, I have to love every moment of it. And you go, well, those aren't the rules.
Well, the question is he telling the truth? That's it.
I have a hard time, even if I don't like Roethlisberger, I have a hard time believing that he created...
Kind of in a condescending way that he spoke to certain guys. And so I'm not surprised by it. I'm not surprised by that he's going to go ahead and sell the team. I thought last night Cam Newton was asked a question right after the game was over about what was going on. And I think that in itself is kind of a picture behind the curtain of how uncomfortable you made that, Cam Newton, who's the face of your franchise and is the name that everybody associates. And you could tell Cam was completely uncomfortable. He didn't know how to respond, because how do you speak for someone that you don't really know how they're, acting and behind these closed doors, but you know how he has been to you. And so I think it's a tough situation. I think he's doing the right thing, selling it. Even hearing Ryan today, on First Take and how offensive he felt in some of those meetings and conversations, I could completely see that. And again, from a white guy in the room, I would feel uncomfortable, but never, it wasn't towards me. And so I definitely saw a difference. And so, from that standpoint, I completely relate to what he's saying.
What were Jerry Richardson's interactions with you as an individual? Because you sat with him many times, right?
Yeah, it was contentious. I mean, we got along fine. I mean, as far as when we were out of meetings, it was very brief anyway. I mean, it was owners and players. He was always very cordial to me and treated me well as far as those things. Anytime I've ever seen him since, or even before that, he was always respectful to me. But when you're in a closed room negotiation, there was some get after it's now, you know what I mean? There were some words flying and some significant battles going on behind those closed doors. And so in those situations, it was very contentious, and we would go at it. And I would leave it at that, just because some of it, I'm sure, from another owner perspective, I don't want to get into all of that.
Okay. All right. Let's do some of the football stuff then. Jeff Saturday here, Russillo Show, Will Cain, ESPN Radio. Did you learn anything about who the Pats and Steelers are when we see them again, likely in the playoffs, from yesterday's game?
I was impressed with the Steelers on both sides of the line of scrimmage. The offensive line-wise, they played really well. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, I heard people talking about, hey, the Patriots got to set the edge, and that's true, but when that guy's blowing you off the ball, it's hard to set the edge. I mean, I give them a lot of credit for how they played. Le'Veon Bell played really well. And I thought defensive line-wise, they got after the Patriots. I think the Patriots will go back and look at that tape, and they'll get better from it. Dante Scarnecchia, their O-line coach, won't let that happen again. Because Tuitt, Hayward, you name it, all those guys were in Brady's face all night long. And so they know that game, they kept themselves in it. Obviously, with Gronk playing the way he did at the very end, but they didn't have a lot of snaps in the first half. You're not going to win a ton of football games playing that way. So I think from that perspective, I learned a bunch about what the Steelers are capable of. It's just a matter of, can you put it together against the Pats?
Help me make sense of happened on the last play of the game, what Ben Roethlisberger's explanation was at the end of the game. Should he have clocked it? Should he have thrown it? Should Todd Haley have told him one thing? Should he have done another? Just what I don't know what to make of that whole thing.
No, listen. I don't. It's for me. It's one of those plays where he's trying to force it in from the call, but we practice those things all the time. I mean, I can tell you from even in my time in as a Colt, Thursdays and Fridays, we're practicing 2-minute, we're practicing end of the game situations, and there's a fake clock for every team, and you're going to do it if you can get away with it. I think he calls for the slant, thinks he's going to get it, and Rowe makes a great play, man. Like, we never want to give defensive players credit for what they do. By God, that he stayed with them and he dives in front of the ball. All really spectacular plays. You're thinking if you're Roethlisberger, even if the ball hits him, it's going to be incomplete. You're not thinking the guy's going to reach across the body of your offensive player, tip it to his next guy. So I don't have a problem with it. I understand when it wasn't right there, do you throw it away? But maybe Roethlisberger thinks it's going to come in there and come open. I think it's easy when you're looking from hindsight to judge it. Listen, man, you thought you won the game 2 plays ago. Now you're trying to make it work. You tried to fit it in. It went the Patriots' way, but give the defense credit. Stop just blaming one side.
Okay, so I don't have a problem. I don't think any of us have a problem with him deciding, okay, I'm not clocking this and going to 4th down to kick the game-tying field goal. But what we're trying to figure out in the explanation as we were in the start of the show was Ben then saying, I wanted to clock it. And Todd Haley says no, and Rodney Harrison lost it on him, as we were talking about at the halftime of the NBC game. So what's going on there? Is Ben selling out his coach, or is that good honesty from him, or as Harrison accused Roethlisberger just flat out lying about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have no idea what happened in the headset. So, you're asking if Haley called it.
Guess and be irresponsible, Jeff.
What's that?
I said guess and be irresponsible.
Yeah, I mean,
no. How does that happen? Like, Peyton obviously could do whatever he wanted. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers, when you played up there, he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, every quarterback in the top 10 of all quarterbacks have that play. And so, to have expectations he's not going to do it any different. If Haley said, hey, clock it, fake clock, whatever the play is, and he sees it, even look, quarterbacks, players in the NFL, think about the Cowboys last night with Chris Jones. He calls his own number on the fake punt, right? If it's there, do the count. If it works, great. If not, we're going to live with it. Now, it's on your own 20-yard line. It's a big gamble, but he made it. It's a big gamble for Roethlisberger, but if the play is called and you see it, or even if it's not called and you're like, hey, I got a good advantage right here with Rodgers on Rowe, man, at some point you got to go win the game. Like, you can second guess because of what happens, but to me, that's silly. I mean, he thought it was there. He tried to force it, never thinking you're going to get a tip, interception right there on the field. He's probably thinking the ball's either going to go in the dirt or out of bounds when he's trying to hum it in there to Rodgers. But unfortunately, Rowe, again, makes a great play. And here's the worst part about it, man. They're coached that way. So it's not lucky. It's not this. They were prepared. The freaking running back from the Patriots knew they faked the clock play. So if Deion Lewis is talking about after the game, that was in a team meeting that was addressed. They played better than the Steelers. At the end of the game, they win.
Biggest problem today, you got to pick one quickly. The NFL's catch rule, as exhibited in the Pats-Steelers game. The NFL's fumble touchback rule, as exhibited in the Cowboys-Raiders game. Or measuring a first down with an index card.
Listen, I love the smirk.
He was so happy.
He was so happy. You saw him like walking towards the camera. It was his moment. Oh, Gene loved his moment to take it. I will say for me, the catch rule, not the way it was called, because I think they made the right call, right? To overturn it, incomplete pass, because that's the way it is. But to me, that's a football move, and when it crosses the goal line, and it has to be, I just want it to be a goal line type play, the same way as a run. When it crosses, if it's controlled, and that's it. I mean, that's the completion of it. It's a touchdown. It goes all the way back to Megatron. That was the first place where we missed it, and we have screwed it up ever since.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, good call from Jeff Saturday. All right, all of our guests, including Jeff, but he wasn't on the phone, all of our phone guests, the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. The biggest crawfish distributor in the South. The guy's worth like over $3 billion. He called into the show today, believe it or not. It's ESPN Radio. High-end stuff here. Russillo Show, Will Cain, ESPN Radio. You got one, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple.
The feedback to this has been incredible. Like, the most successful people are reaching out to talk about the billionaire segment.
Well, a lot of them want to get in on it,
Yeah, they want us to keep doing it every day.
So I got to shout out to my friend Sir Mix-a-Lot.
So Sir Mix-a-Lot likes you.
I don't know, Mix. Do you like me? I mean, it started out rocky, but I think we've gotten to a good place.
That's cool, Will. You should feel good about that.
And he says to me that he ordered 420 pounds of mud bugs from Pee-wee. But Pee-wee sent him a pile of the same stuff he gave us on air. Pure BS. He said he's loving the show today.
People down in you call it, Baton Rouge isn't exactly the bayou, but that part of the country, they're telling us that he didn't even spell, what was it?
Robichaux.
Robichaux? Is that what he said? Not even close.
Well, let me tell you this, what I got to give him credit for.
He did go AUX, though, on the way out.
He didn't hesitate. When I said spell Robichaux, he didn't stumble.
He hesitated. He didn't know.
Hesitate.
Yeah, but he didn't know where their number one exporting country was. He didn't know that much about the shipping.
He said Portugal. Quickly.
Yeah, after no, that wasn't quick. Go back and listen to the tape on that.
Why don't we roll it?
We will. But yeah, what else? Like, I don't think we could ask billionaires every day to call into the show, but you could do something like that. Like, if anybody's ever died and come back to life, call us. That's what we should be doing with the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every day there should be one thing. Have you ever died, touched heaven,
and come back?
Call in.
Please, consider it an open line if that's happened.
Yeah, and give us your take on the Steelers moving forward. Well, the first time I died and came back to life, and I got to tell you, I think we're getting a little old in the secondary. That's what we should. We could be changing lives this whole time. All right, hit us up at Russillo Show, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Here is previously with our interview. This is the number one crawfish guy in the South, allegedly, right? All right.
Previously on the Ryen Russillo Show.
What's going on there, Russillo?
How are you? So you made, what's your net worth?
I'd say about $3.2 billion.
And you made your money doing what?
Exporting crawfish and such to the world.
What's your last name, Pee-wee?
Robichaux.
Robichaux. Now I think it might be telling the truth. Okay, so Pee-wee, with your net worth of $3.2 billion and such, what would your interest level be in investing in an NFL team?
Oh, it'd be very, very, very high. I'm a big fan of the football.
Should I stop trying to spell Robichaux now?
Yeah, I think you can. Pee-wee, congrats on the crawfish business. I almost feel like that's somebody that I know from LSU calling in. Robichaux's great, though.
It's good.
Did you believe him? Did we hang up too soon?
You know what?
Well, you definitely hung up too soon. That's the first question has nothing to do with the second.
How many boats do you have?
Oh, I don't have any boats. I don't need boats for crawfish, man.
That seems weird. I meant to export.
He farms them. I'm sure he farms them.
No, but I'm saying to export them out. Like, do you have some shipping?
Oh, no, I don't own my own ships. I get the Greeks to do that.
Right.
Greeks.
Hey, will you spell Robichaux for me?
ROBICHAUX.
Thank you. Okay.
I think we owe him an apology.
Did we not give a billionaire his due? And the great unexplored question is this, Ryan. How did you make your money? Exporting crawfish and such. I don't think we considered the and such enough.
No, we picked up on it. When he did say, I like the football, and kind of went water boy on us, that seemed a little suspect. I think my favorite part of the whole day, which I tried to share with everyone here, is I immediately started texting everyone in Louisiana that I know. Like, what do we got here? Just to be fair. Like, what if Pee-wee Robichaux, and they're like, oh, Pee-wee, PWR, legend. Loves your show. Has a box at Tiger Stadium. Super close to Jerry DiNardo when he was the head coach.
By the way, before you reveal your information, now that Pee-wee needs to know, when you call in from Louisiana, you're calling into Boston Ryan's backyard. And you know what you bring up the LSU thing? If you are the number one crawfish distributor in Louisiana, you do have a box in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and I'm going to find out if you're real or not.
Right.
But this is my favorite part, is Brandon Landry, who, by the way, the Walk-Ons Independence Bowl, Florida State and Southern Miss, in case you guys, you know, I'm going to be heading down for that one now that I'm thinking about it. I sent him a text. I go, hey, is there a guy named Pee-wee in Crawfish down there that's a billionaire? And Brandon, who's
a great random text.
This isn't just a dude who owns Walk-Ons the bar. He's like a food kingpin. So he's in on all this stuff, right? It's not just his little spot there with all the parking across the street from the stadium. He throws back a Pee-wee Bertholo. like a real dude, and then a Y, and I haven't responded yet.
And he told you, didn't, or somebody told you, Pee-wee's that's a common name in Louisiana.
Yeah. I haven't met as many Pee-wees in Louisiana as I thought. Maybe I don't know Louisiana the way I thought I did.
Or maybe they're not close enough with you to give you their nickname.
Yeah, that's true, too.
My name's Luke, but they call me Pee-wee.
Why do they call you Pee-wee? I have such a great story with the nickname Pee-wee.
You don't have time.
And I have 20 seconds left in the show, so you're going to have to come back tomorrow, everyone. Yeah. Finally. I want that all day, Bubba. I expect you to be better with that thing.
Yeah. Robo Show.
And such.
Portugal.
Download the podcast, subscribe for Will Cain, the Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio. Yeah.